Yo, 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 live on location. Me and D Miles here in Orlando, staying our ass at home, staying safe. Today we got a very, very special guest. We got the legendary lady
Legend.
from South Bend who went to Notre Dame and put it back on the map. We got Skylar Diggins-Smith in the building. We appreciate you for gracing us with your presence.
Finally made it. Mama, I made it. I'm on the Knucklehead podcast.
Hey, them 5G towers connecting us.
Yeah, we everywhere with them 5Gs.
Okay, what's up, y'all? Thanks for having me today.
Definitely wanted to get you on. We definitely are big fans.
Yeah, let's get it. Tune in. Brought to you by AT&T 5G.
The first question we asked everybody on the show, when you made it to the WNBA, who was the first person to bust your ass?
Man, you know what? That was killing me because I was thinking about that all day because it's a lot of them, man. You know what I'm saying?
It always is.
People try to discredit, the level of talent that's in the league. And, watching it as a fan and then getting drafted and getting into the league, it's like everybody is a bucket.
Yeah.
Everybody scored 20. I know y'all know everybody on the floor scored 20, scored 30. It's just about matchups and who hot that night.
Yeah.
So my first game was against Ivory Latta.
And Ivory Latta used to
Ivory Latta is one of them.
Yeah. She hype.
Just self-motivated players,
Yeah.
And she got hot and her eyes got big and it's just like, man, damn, welcome to the league,
Yeah, the eyes get big on her. It's on.
Okay. And my eyes got big too, because I was like, damn, she feeling it. It was cool. It was a, it's a moment. And shit, I struggled my rookie year. Ain't no secret. It was just like, man. And when you come in and you highly touted, that put a target on your back.
Oh yeah, price on your head.
Oh,
price
even as a vet now, rookies that come in and they highly touted, they got all the hype, you'd be like, yeah, okay.
I see you. I've been watching.
Right. Yeah, they see you because people watch. People peep all game. Oh yeah, she's supposed to be, okay. So it was definitely a big target on my back when I came in.
Midwest baby, South Bend, Midwest representative. So you definitely love that. So South Bend, and you the oldest of 5. So you've been a leader and been running the 5 your whole life.
Man,
that's crazy.
We call it the kids, right? I got my T-shirt on.
Okay.
But yeah, I came from South Bend, Indiana, and my family is a blended family. Like my parents are remarried, so me and my siblings, we're blended. And so it's pretty cool. It's cool because you get to have like extra, like bonus grandparents, bonus siblings. And so it was dope growing up, be the oldest. You got the most responsibility. You know how that is. Got to delegate, got to move them around, make sure they doing what they supposed to be doing. But it's cool being able to, be the oldest and see them all grow up.
Did that start your leadership? Did it make it kind of be easy to lead like women or lead a group of people? Because you got your brothers and sisters and they just don't listen to it.
My mom, it comes from my mom really, because my mom, I'll say, like my mom is 5 foot nothing, right? She's small woman. Like if my mom was 5'9", I would have been 6'3", I would have been all up in here. All up in the near post. But no, she's a small woman, but she is very independent, She raised me on her own for a few years, and she just always was very independent. She had it together. So that was my example. She was the boss, so I got to have that as an example. So just naturally, I think, I had the same personality as her. It might be a gift and a curse, but I want to control, I wanted to control, what's going on, the tempo of the game. And it kind of just translated into hoop, just seeing her being so strong and independent and having a Black woman like that to look up to, I just kind of, she ain't take no shit, and it was just like the same with me.
Right. For you, when did you start playing? Like as a kid, were you playing? Because I know sometimes at a young age you can't play with all girls. Did you play with girls or boys or both growing up when you first started playing?
Yeah, both really. Because actually in South Bend, it wasn't a lot of females playing like that to really put together teams and leagues like that yet. You know what I'm saying? And it really was like avant-garde for females to play against guys.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You had to really be good, you know, to get on the floor in the runs. And so that's how I kind of grew up playing outside, you know what I'm saying? And getting in pickups. And, you know, I had my stepdad, my dad, who was a director of a recreational center in South Bend, the King Center. And so that's the one thing I did have was accessibility, you know, to be able to go and play. But I had to earn it
all the time.
Yeah, I had to see it, but I had to earn it still. So I grew up playing against guys. I remember me and my girls, we would be in leagues, in organized basketball leagues, playing against guys' teams. And and it's just about playing. You know, it really doesn't have a gender as far as when you get on the floor. It's if you can go, you can go.
Yeah.
If you playing D, you playing D. You could be on my team. If you know how to get a bucket, if you got some, you know what I'm saying? So it's just.
See, them was the days of no worries. You didn't have no worries. Just had the love of the game.
You all day long.
I don't know if it's like that everywhere, but I know it was like that for us in Chicago, being Midwest too. Because when I was in 7th and 8th grade, we always had 1 or 2 girls. I remember my 8th grade year, we had a girl named Janae, and she used to be able to shoot that thing, literally get in the game and hit jumpers. And I was like, you know, we didn't. I don't know if it was because our school, whatever, but we didn't have a girls and a boys team. We just had our team, and every once in a while, it would be a couple, 1 or 2 girls on the team.
Her game probably got better off of that. Like playing against y'all, having to be crafty against the guys.
Right.
You know, obviously, you know, at that age, you know, the length and the strength starts to separate a little bit maybe, and the height, they get bigger. So you just got to be creative and finish. And, you know, it really helped me because, you know, when y'all get in high school, people 18, you 14. When you get in college, the same thing. And even in the league, you know, I played against Tina Thompson.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
OG, triple OG.
Has been in the league for a minute, you know, Sue Bird, Diana. So it's like, get used to playing against competition that's better than you and don't be afraid of that. And so I always challenge females, you know, age, level, group, development, wherever you at, like shit, it's good to jump in and run, you know, with people that's better than you or, you know, somebody that can make you better.
Washington High School, you came in averaging a dub. Like you averaged a dub your freshman year? Like,
so it was crazy because at Washington, I got to play with all my girls from AU.
Oh, see, I was already had chemistry and everything.
Oh, that's the hardest thing.
You know? She like me in high school.
You know, in high school, you know, it's when you come in and you the freshman, you know, you got to earn that respect. You got to, and I definitely did. But it was easier when you had some camaraderie with the girls where we could talk to each other a certain way and not take it personal. You know, I know you, you're my friend, you my homegirl. We've been playing with each other for some years, so it was chemistry right away. And all my girls, we all went to college on that team. So everybody went to college for 3 different sports: basketball, track, you know, volleyball. Like we had athletes, so I had a lot of help too. But yeah, just coming in, I felt comfortable right away. So it was good competition in Indiana. You know, Indiana basketball.
Right. That's
to go downstate, like you had to kill somebody to get down there. You know, So it was cool growing up in that environment because, you know, we really got it out the mud for real. I know people say that, but if you look at the track record, like we got that out the mud. And so it's always like you get it and you know, you start to
earn it.
Yawn a little bit and it's like, oh, okay, this little girl, this little light-skinned girl can hoop. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we can't punk her. But it was cool.
So what point was that for you? I know you walked through the door averaging a dub, but for you in your mind, did you come right in after averaging that 20 feeling like, all right, I could do this? Or at what point was it where, you know, not only in the state, all of the colleges started coming for you when, you know what I'm saying, between freshman and senior? Because I mean, we know what you did senior year, which was second to none. But like, at what point in your high school career did they start coming in and it hit home for you? Like, I'm pretty good.
You know, I got lucky because Notre Dame was right in my backyard. Like Notre Dame I grew up like 8 minutes from the university. And so as I would start to, you know, get more attention in AAU and things like that, like Muffet McGraw would come to my games. Like she would start to come, and what she did was she offered me a scholarship when I was in the 8th grade. And once she did that, you know, I was like, man, college, like I could go to college. Like I was the first one to graduate if I was able to get a scholarship and go to Notre Dame and play for the hometown. That was always a dream of mine. But I would have to say she started it up, when I was playing and I had some good AAU years there. She offered me a scholarship early. And that's when, more and more people, obviously, they was like, oh, wait, why are you offering an 8th grader? Let me look into her. And then we started traveling more. I started leaving the state to play basketball. And then more eyes get on you and things like that. Yeah. But we didn't have like the social media. It wasn't no Twitter. Yeah. Y'all know it wasn't Twitter, no Facebook. No, I didn't get to have them fire mixtapes with the, with the in the background.
We talk about that all the time. Like, bro, you realize we had that when we was coming through. Like, we would have had some crazy.
Think about what y'all did for the culture if y'all would have had it back then.
Man, it'd been so lovely.
It's crazy.
We had scouting services, but Bob Gibbons, Streets and Smith. You gotta look in the magazines and see what's going on.
In black and white too. It ain't had no color on the page.
And then at the tournaments, you had to play. Like that was it. That's your tryout. If these coaches come, it ain't like you gotta play.
You gotta show up.
You gotta show out.
Like in high school, you go to school and then all of a sudden you get this experience where they just giving you all this attention, all the news is at your game, all your games packed. How was it experiencing all this fame coming in high school? But then did your school have like a history of basketball or something like that before you got there?
Yeah, we had some history. We had a few players who had went on. We actually had a Jackie Baptiste. She had went to Notre Dame. She was like the one I had looked up to. She went to Washington. And then I had a few girls that were older that were in my AAU program who were going to and who eventually went on and went to college. So it was at the time, we didn't even realize, what was going on. I think we just were kids and like just in a bubble.
Yeah,
just fun. We just was having fun. So we didn't realize, we was just like, we just get to go out here and spend more time together. And so those are my legit like best friends, to this day, like our children, we're godmoms to each other's children, it's like, so we were just having fun, as friends and kids, it wasn't really, like I said, it wasn't really all that extra stuff. We were able to just kind of just enjoy the moment. And so that's what we did. We didn't realize till like 10 years later that, we would have sold out games. People couldn't come in. They would be turning people away, turning coaches away. We played at Lucas Oil Stadium for our state game. They had to put us in the football, stadium in Indianapolis.
Yeah, crazy.
It was huge amount of crowds that were coming to these games. And, that notoriety, you don't never think that's happening. But as you just go through it, it's like, shit, that's cool. That's cool. I'm with my girls, it ain't just.
Hey, so, you in the Flossy Posse. You in the Flossy Posse. Y'all
back then, way back then.
The Flossy Posse.
The Flossy Posse, baby.
Hey,
to this whole crew.
Yeah, you could take us nicely, if you want to. You could take us like that if you want to. It was cool though, I had fun, and obviously being in Indiana, being in South Bend, we went to state all 4 years.
Okay.
I got a state ring. We lost state at the buzzer my senior year. It was a heartbreaker.
Oh.
But it was crazy, the amounts of crowds, and just Indiana basketball, being able to stay close to home playing for Notre Dame, like that whole experience was cool.
So were you highly ranked early on after getting the scholarship offer 8th grade? Were you ranked as a freshman or sophomore?
Yeah, I got invited to USA. That's what happened, like USA basketball. And once I kind of got in that system, I never really, I'm still in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like I was 15 or 16. So that was like my freshman or sophomore year. I got invited to USA and then, made a team and then made another team, got cut, made another team, and then now still trying to get in the Olympics now. But yeah, once I got into USA, that's when I would say, it kind of blew up from there. And yeah, I was highly ranked, definitely, but nobody went to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Back then.
Right.
Like I was the only top 100, I think, that went to Notre Dame at that time. And so everybody was gearing me toward the more traditional basketball schools who were powerhouses, UCONNs and the Tennessees and, but for me, I wanted my mama to see me play. So I wanted my granny to see me play, you know. And so I wanted to stay home, but definitely nobody was going to Notre Dame back then. So I remember it used to be people that would come up to my mom and be like, why are you letting her come to these games? Or, you know, why are you letting her come? Like, is she really about to go to Notre Dame? Like, when you got Pat Summit coming to your games, why are you letting her, even entertain this?
Yeah.
But my mom, she was always huge on like academics. So she didn't play no games. So for me, it was Notre Dame. And if I didn't go to Notre Dame, then I was going to Stanford.
Yeah.
You know, my girl Nneka Ogwumike, she was like my best friend. Yeah, and Candace Wiggins. I love Candace Wiggins. I loved her game. You know, that was like one of my favorite players. And then Nneka was going there. I was just like, man, they had a squad already.
Yeah.
But it was so far, you know, and honestly, it's crazy because, you know, with Stanford, you have to apply and get in before they can really offer you.
Yeah.
So that was like the application process. I remember writing all my essays, trying to do all that. I was just waiting to get in. And usually when you get in, it's like, boom, okay, I'm going. And then I was like, man, I was nervous to kind of go that far. But then at the same time, I don't really know what I was looking for that Notre Dame, you know, didn't already give me with a bonus of being home. So yeah, Stanford would have been mine. What was yours?
I committed to St. John's. I told
Big East.
Yeah, I committed to St. John's. They had that little run with Ron Artest and Eric Barkley, so they was playing good them couple of years. And I was looking for a point guard to play with. Like, I wanted somebody to get me to Roc. So Omar, he wanted to go to North Carolina, so I was gonna follow them there. And North Carolina didn't choose him, so he chose St. John, and I was right behind him. Like, yeah, and he led the nation in assists, so I know if I would have went to college, I got some of them down.
Smart. Smart.
Yeah, for me, it was I went to DePaul, obviously, but it would have been Kansas. I was about as close as you could get. Roy Williams, I was about it. If I like the thing, I think the saving grace for that was that my parents and my coaches now, they told me before we started the recruiting process that we're going to agree that we're not going to do any commitments while we away on visits and stuff. We're going to come back home, collect ourselves, and get our mind right. Had it not been for that, I'd have committed when I was at Kansas. They had me there on Midnight Madness, late night with Roy.
Oh, that's
the whole Allen Fogg Fieldhouse doing a Rock Chalk Jayhawk, but instead of Jayhawk, they saying Q Rich. I say, whole building in there swaying. It's like I was standing. I'm 17. I'm looking around like, oh man. Like me and my homeboys, like you say, your girls, we all used to go to night camp at AU. We used to play the little game. We'll be walking past the little coaches. Somebody be like, I commit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm sitting there in my man, like I commit. Like, boy, I'm about to do it for.
Your mom was like, nah.
Yeah, nah. It was like I got to the crib and it was like
that's exciting though when you never like really experienced that, and then you know on that level, you know what I'm saying? It's like that's in college,
man.
And Stanford was one of them, like you said, you know, Q. It was so nice, you know. That was the first time, and y'all know coming from the Midwest, you know, snow and all that.
Go
cold.
And then you pull up, and then it's like the line of palm trees.
I just about to say them palm trees do something to us Midwesterns. Look, us Midwest folks ain't seen them palm trees. It feel like we on vacation like this. Wait, this every day, right? This every like what?
He's like, oh man, I'm sold. But no, it was cool. I love them experiences.
We all been through high school and seen how it go with the circuit, and you know, from freshman to senior year. Like you were somebody that was highly touted early on, and still at senior year came out Gatorade Player of the Year, Female Athlete of the Year, National, you know, Naismith Player of the Year, McDonald's. You still remain. Like, how tough is that? To be at the top early on, knowing that, like he said, people got a price on your head and everybody gunning for you the whole time. But then you still senior year, because we all know stories. Each of us could tell a story of a class where whoever was ahead, and then, you know, freshman and senior year guys caught up and passed them or whatever. How hard is that for you to stay on top and maintain that position throughout?
It's hard. It was hard. But you know what? Like I said, maybe because it wasn't like all the social media and stuff like that, I didn't really pay attention to
you feel no pressure.
You know, it to who was what. I didn't really know. you go to certain AAU tournaments, and that's what it was. It's like when we matched up AAU, you know, it is what it is, you know.
Bust that ass.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't really care. No, and that's just me saying I think I was just naive to just like, it wasn't a social media where I could go look up, oh, you know, like that. It was like ESPN, it was some of the, you know, USA camps, obviously, where you could see your competition, but I felt great during those moments. So I didn't really care, you know, really. And my mom would tell me all the time, like, don't be in nobody's business. Don't worry about what nobody else doing. You go to the gym, you put your work in, and your game will speak for itself. So I think that's just what it was. I was so like in a cave, you know, just pooping. That's all I wanted to do. That I was just like, I feel like I'm supposed to be having this, you know, doing what I'm doing. I'm supposed to win Naismith if I'm putting this work in, you know? And so that it's harder now, honestly, as a pro. And I know y'all know, because every year, you know, the level of the game is just like linear. You know,
they coming. Every draft, they coming.
It's like, man, they stomping, you know, they stomping.
Yeah.
And it's so impressive to me what they doing now, you know, but it's just even harder because for us specifically, I talk about this all the time. We only got 12 teams.
Yeah.
So it's 12 spots sometimes. It's 11 spots, 12 spots. So it ain't that many spots. So you got to definitely stay on top of your game because, like you said, they coming, man. And it's so competitive, you know, to just even get on a team.
Yeah. Y'all look like the old NBA when it was real competitive. Like how like, you know, because I seen a bunch of girls get waived. So it'd be like, man, those spots is valuable. So you got to stay up on your A game every single year. And like, back in the day in the NBA, it was real competitive. People weren't giving out no information. I ain't finna tell you how to train. I ain't finna tell you put your work in. It's just like kind of, we friendly, but it's kind of some every man for yourself type stuff.
I believe it, you know, and that's just, it's unfortunate. I mean, I hate to say it, you know, on our side, we need more teams. That's what it is.
Yeah, definitely do.
You don't want to feel like you want it competitive, but you shouldn't feel like it's only one seat at the table.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We need more teams. We have enough talent to be able to fill these teams. And, you know, the way that talent is spreading out and moving around and different combinations of players, like it's a buzz around the league right now and it's exciting. And, you know, I've been sitting here like, you know, like I'm waiting. Let's get it. But
looking at the clock.
it's exciting. It's exciting, you know, but we definitely need to expand, you know, that hopefully that's the conversation that's, you know, obviously this is a weird time, but hopefully that's a conversation that comes to the table soon and we can seriously talk about that. And showing off, you know, the talent that we have in women's basketball.
Notre Dame basketball. I started liking Notre Dame basketball because I was following Ivy. Ivy's from St. Louis. I'm from East St. Louis. So, you know, you follow everybody from the hometown that actually get an opportunity to play in a big college.
My girl. That's my girl.
You know, Notre Dame, you at Notre Dame and you in the conference with the champs. And, you know, you got 4 years of this to try to make a name for yourself. Like, how was that to even go through that rivalry and to be a part of that, to basically build you? It built so much in you. It made you stronger as a player, like as a person, everything. How was that to just be with Notre Dame and go through them rivalries with like UCONN?
It was amazing. It was amazing because you hear a lot about it. Obviously, I grew up in South Bend, so I would see, you know, the battles when Niele and Ruth and them would play against, you know, Sue and Diana. Yes, you know, when they always had a squad. Man. So you always see them matchups, and that's the old Big East.
Yeah.
Now, we talking about now, you know, the Big East of old when I came in, like, we would lose to Georgetown and St. John's, you know, DePaul, UConn, you know, was always Louisville, West Virginia, took an L to West Virginia. Like, our conference was tough to get through. Syracuse, like, it was tough. I love playing in the Big East though, but UConn, obviously, when I came in, Maya Moore was a sophomore and Tina Charles was a junior. They was on the same team. And we talking about 2 WNBA MVPs, you know, they playing on the same 10.
Bless everybody else's hearts. Bless their hearts.
And you got to play there. Oh, it was a massacre my rookie year, or my freshman year. I'll never forget playing there. And they just, I mean, they don't care. They'll call you everything because you inherit it. You inherit, the rivalry.
You inherit the beef. You part of the beef now.
The beef. Once you put the jersey on, you inherit the beef.
Absolutely.
And so by rookie, I'm like, what? It was like, it's an eye opener. They really, and it makes sense. They got the harshest environment. They the champions.
Yeah.
So then the next year, my sophomore year, that was when we finally were able to kind of go on a run and gain some momentum. And we had graduated 5 seniors.
Yeah.
My freshman year, after that, we had graduated 5 seniors. So going into my sophomore year, we had a completely
new squad.
Different style. It was a completely different squad. But a lot of people that were on the bench the year before had their opportunity, and it just so happened we just gelled. And we had some dogs on the team, but definitely, obviously, Coach McGraw. A lot of people don't know she from Philly. She really didn't take no shit. She had swag. But she was very cerebral, and she really taught me how to like study the game and like watch basketball instead of just like study the game instead of just watching the game.
Yeah.
Her and Neil, obviously having Neil too, who won a championship at Notre Dame, just having her coaching next to me and having her to reference those two who had won before. They had the blueprint. So we end up going to 3 Final Fours and, 2 national championship games. And obviously, against UCONN, I think we had started 0 and something. And then, I think I ended up breaking 500, I think. But our matchups, were always important. Like they were always like the Big East Championship or the Final Four, it was something, or like my senior night, triple overtime. Like, damn, it was just always something at stake when we just so happened to match up.
Y'all gonna be part of this. They're gonna be part of your moment.
Right, exactly. Like they were ranked number 1 and we had to go there and play them in stores. Nobody ever loses in stores. It was my senior year. And we were ranked 5 and then we won that game. Like it was just always something at stake.
I remember that. That was
when we happened to play each other. And it was, I would love to eventually sit down with everybody and do a documentary about everything.
Talk about
it. We talking about 20-something, 20 years.
Yeah.
With Enrique hitting her buzzer beater to Neil winning to our matchups. And there's so many great players there in between. But I got to play against the best basketball in conference and in a tournament. So I wasn't complaining about that. The level of competition was so high that by the time we got to the tournament, them first 3 or 4 games, playing against UConn and not the 8 other teams that make the tournament in our conference, we was ready for the tournament. So we always, we were able to get there, get to the ship. We got to the ship a few times and they were never able to finish it. But, the teams that we lost to Brittney Griner. And I remember her Baylor team, they went like 40-0 that year. And then Texas A&M, like they had a squad too, with a lot of their girls going to the league. But yeah, I played against the best players in college. Like,
I feel like y'all got better and better every year, and I feel like with you as your years went by in college, I feel like this is when you start to understand how to control the game as a point guard. I feel like in college when you was coming up, I seen you start controlling the whole game, and you could see it really in a tournament. It was like it was key moments, when runs go down, you control the pace. So when did it click for you? What year did you say for you that it clicked in like, all right, I can control kind of a whole game, or I know when I can be aggressive and score, or when I'm trying to set this person up? So when was for you did you learn that you can control the game?
Yeah, I think that like my whole life I played the 2. Like I played the 2. I didn't play the point. I could bring it up.
Get buckets.
I was combo guard, but I got buckets from the 2.
Go get
hiding behind the defense, and then coming and then or whatever the case. So I had to learn how to be a point guard first of all. So that we had a point guard my freshman year, but I really didn't connect with none of my seniors like that. We really didn't. So we didn't really get a chance to get as far as we probably could have. The chemistry, it just really was hard to give up the reins to a freshman, and so I had to learn, but, I had to wait my time. But my sophomore year, the group that I had with Kayla McBride and Devereaux Peters and Natalie Achanwa. You know, we had some pieces, Natalie Novasil, Brittney Mallory, like we had some pieces, and we actually went untraditional. We played 4 guards. So we played 4 guards sometimes. So I had to learn how to, like I said, watch film, learn how to navigate, learn what the hell time, score, and possession was.
Yeah.
And how many timeouts we got, you know what I'm saying?
Point guard got always know the timeouts, all that.
Yeah, like book, you know, I'm okay book smart, you know, I'm okay, but but it's just like being a point guard, you got to know everything. You got to know what's going on. So it really challenged me, and they really challenged me. Neil and Coach McGraw just really challenged me to, step outside my comfort zone and come and try to, trust me with the reins of the team and controlling the team. So it really helped me a lot, navigating it now where I'm at, being able to understand certain things, because of that. So, yeah.
How does it feel to be an Indiana legend, to stay at home and go to high school there, and to stay at home and go to college there, and to put your mark and your legendary status on the state? How was it what did that mean to you to stay there and do that?
It mean everything to me. I mean, just hearing Indiana legend, that makes my heart drop. Like, I don't even see that, but it's awesome. I'm a huge family woman, that's just it's always been like that. My family has always been the most important thing to me, and it still is. And so it's just always been like that. And we've always supported each other. And I just wanted to stay. I wanted to stay home. And like I said, at the time, it was so many people who were saying, don't go there, go here. Why are you going to Notre Dame? They lost in the first round. Why are you going to Notre Dame? And it's just like, I wanted to, when I left Notre Dame, I wanted to say, okay, we back at the level that I remember it being when they won a shit. This is South Bend. And so, like I said, I just had a real a big level of pride with that, being able to, first off, go to Notre Dame and having that opportunity was something that, I used to go to the camps as a kid at 10, 11, 12 in the crowd, trying to win the one-on-one competition at Notre Dame. Right. So coach could see me, when she came to my court, did about 6 in between the legs. But, I was just excited about that opportunity, and it wasn't really a lot of, women that looked like me that was going to Notre Dame, and, and just, it was my opportunity to graduate college, one of the first in my immediate family to graduate. So I saw it as something it was just a big deal to me. It meant a lot to me. And that's just how I approached it every day. I felt like I was wearing South Bend, Indiana, on one of my jersey. And so that's the energy that I had with it. And it wasn't like my freshman year, I hated it. Yeah. Straight up. I was just like, man, do I want this? Is my mom gonna be checking on me? I don't want, am I gonna have freedom? And I just really embraced my experience, and I'm really blessed to, like I said, have the resources that I did at Notre Dame, to really help me blossom into, the hooper that I am today. Everything that ended up happening on my path, just by choosing that university, and then obviously being able to say, I graduated from there, and everything that comes with that. So it's definitely a full circle experience. Obviously, I met my husband there. It's just like I met my husband at Notre Dame. It's just, it's so many experiences I have, and I know I'll forever be affiliated, and it's nothing wrong with that, because that's genuine, and that really is.
Well, I'm glad you decided to stay, because now your name is mentioned with the Larry Birds, the Muff McGraws, and everybody else. So
it's a lot dope. Of, man. Shout out to Indiana. Indiana basketball. Everybody think it's just like Hoosiers. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people who have really got out the mud in Indiana. Pay homage to those people. But yeah, much love. I'm not mad with talent spreading. I'm not mad at that at all. Don't be afraid, to do your own thing. Like I said, don't be afraid to navigate your own path. And that opened up the door for me to be, one of the first athletes to sign in Roc Nation, one of the first athletes to sign in Puma.
Yeah.
It's like you decide what's cool. Luckily, I had a mom that, she didn't play no games. She
didn't play that shit.
Told me have my own mind. You know what I'm saying? Have your own mind. You need to be responsible. Do your research on these schools. But luckily, it was right in my backyard. I didn't have to look very far.
Niele Ivey was your assistant while you were there, right?
Yeah.
And now she's the head coach. Can you talk to me about the impact of Niele being the head coach and the representation of African American women, female coaches in the game, and how impactful that could be from your standpoint?
Yeah, I think it's so important. And I always have spoken this, like, you can't be what you can't see. And so to have that representation on the bench, and not only, as an assistant coach, but having a head coach, especially at university at like Notre Dame,
right?
Who honestly, in the student body doesn't have a lot of that diverse representation, and so to have her, who has always been a trailblazer. Obviously, she's just coming off being the assistant coach for the Memphis Grizzlies, and
yes.
I don't know if people notice or not, but she was undefeated in her scouts.
Yeah, we know what that means.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, So, it's just like, just having somebody like that, just all the examples. Carol Owens, too, is another Black woman who was on staff for me, and just somebody I grew up around. Coquise Washington now is back on the staff. She's a Black woman. So it's 3 Black women, and it's amazing. And that's what, I would like to see more representation of that, women, and not only, that structure of being a head coach, but our league, let's have coaches that look like what our league looks like.
Yes.
And
yes.
Majority of the representation in our league, if men's jobs, if 100% of men's jobs go to men, we have to start seeing more women getting these positions, and Black women, and not only in basketball, in C-suite level positions. It shouldn't just be one seat at the table for a Black woman in these upper management, what their upper management looks like in these positions. So representation is important. We need more Black writers and Black people and Black women that are writing about us and our game, and translating our message. We need more people that look like us, that we talk to. And think about all the writers that y'all, like, not trying to be on a soapbox, but I kind of feel irresponsible if I don't have this energy right now. But just think about all the reporters and people that you talk to over the years, and what that representation of lack thereof looks like. And so, yes, I think it's a great start to have women that look like me, women that I can look up to and aspire to be like, as examples. And Niele has always been somebody who's been that for me, and so many people, just a trailblazer. And the list goes on and on.
One of the things about us and us doing Knuckleheads, and everybody want all the NBA players, the big name players. But one of our things too was wanting to do the WNBA players, because it's like, once you're a basketball player, you love it, no matter who's playing it. And we wanted to tell these stories, like you're saying, you wanted to have right. We wanted these stories to get out of there, especially for women, because you can hear them jewels that just get dropped, or just hearing somebody else's journey or coming up from the way they came up. A lot of people have a different road to the top than others. And that was one of the things about our platform that we really wanted to do, especially for women with the WNBA.
Yeah, we need y'all. We appreciate y'all. Like, we need y'all to be allies, because if not y'all, you know what I'm saying? And I had a conversation earlier with someone in the NBA. We were just talking about that. And I'm a mom, I'm a mother, I have a son, and just, it's so important, to see those allies, and to have, men and Black men be allies, and likewise, you know what I'm saying? And so it's awesome for y'all. NBA guys who actually know the game, play the game, and no shade, not Joe Schmo off the couch. You know what I'm saying? Right. Trying to disrespect, what we've done and what we've given to the game, but actually people who have given something to the game, understand the game, and who are the real hoopers.
Yeah, and speaking of what you said earlier about showing people that look like them, I think when we first started this, we drew lines in the sand with what we were going to be about and stuff like that. But I think as we've gone on, we've learned, just like you just said, we are a representation to the kids in the community, that you could go pro at podcasting. You could still be in the sports world. Maybe you're not the most athletic kid, but you love sports. Like, you can go pro at this. This is, you know what I'm saying? And we also showing a lot of the players that are playing now that are going to be former players at some point, that this is a career transition where you can still take the narrative, and we feel like that each time we sit down with players that we know that we have a built-in comfort zone with them because we are them, we their peers, and we not trying to do anything malicious to them because we've had it done to us. We want their stories to be told the way they want it to be heard in their words, and we don't want it to be a clip off of a sentence and then something look wrong. Like, you know how that go. We want y'all to feel as good about the interview as we do, because we know when we felt good about interview, we tell our friends, yo, man, you see what I did with such and such? Like, we want y'all to have that feeling every time they come and you get done and you walk away from it like, man, I can't wait till that come out. That's going to be tight. Like, that's what we want the feeling to be. So that's why we use our platform the way we do.
Y'all got credibility too. Like, you for the culture. It's proven. It's proven.
Appreciate that.
Everybody who don't know that, if you're in real, you know what I'm saying?
Appreciate that.
Everybody know that. Everybody know that. So, you definitely had the credibility first, and that's just, you've been through it. So people trust what you got to say, that it's going to be, some real stories. It's great telling all these stories. You, like you said, you get little anecdotes, I'm sure, every time. I know I do. When I watch it's dope. It's dope, being able to have a platform, to share. And so I appreciate it.
3rd overall pick. Your boy went 3rd too, so you special. You third overall pick.
They sleep.
So going to Tulsa, like, how was it going to Tulsa Shock, and leaving from all the success you had in high school and college, and now it's another journey. You don't have the mom Muffet with you,
right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you kind of got to go on and be a woman now.
I have my real mama, you know what I'm saying? No, Tulsa Shock, I was shocked. Like, I was like, whoa, I'd never been to Oklahoma, I didn't know Tulsa, what it looked like, if I seen a picture of it, what to describe it. But I ended up loving it. It was a huge, we had a great support base there, actually. And had we had more resources, we probably could have been more successful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was just like a new franchise we were trying to get our feet underneath us, but the fans were so loyal that when we moved to Dallas in 2016, our franchise moved from Tulsa to Dallas in 2016. We had fans from Tulsa that would still drive the 3 hours down to come to the game.
Wow, now that's hard. That's hard right there.
It was a great following in Tulsa. So it was cool because, they never had, like, the closest professional team that they had was OKC.
Yeah.
Right.
Was it like
that's why their fans are crazy.
So they appreciated it. They really did. They really did. But when we moved to Dallas, obviously as a rookie, like I said, it was just like, oh my goodness, it was like, it was crazy coming in. Like you said, you got the reins of the team, and it's like, you go high like that, you're going to a team that's trying to rebuild, or a team that's trying to stuff not happen that happened last year, trying to have a different year than last year. So we were still trying to rebuild and trying to figure out our way. But it was crazy. It was just eye-opening, just the amount of talent. And when you think you work hard, I think everybody think they work hard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Until you get in the league. And I remember seeing players my rookie year, like Tamika Catchings. And Catch will be there like 4 hours. When I walked in the gym, she was sweating on the court. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, it's a reason why she's a Hall of Famer, And then I see Becky Hammond flicking the ball up, and I'm like, what is she doing? And then in the game, she rocked it on me and finished. And I'm like, oh damn, that's what she was doing, And it's just like, it's so intentional, the great players are so intentional. What they do, it makes sense. It just makes sense. And so I had to step my game up, really. So my rookie year, I think I averaged like 8.5 points or something like that, like 4 assists. It was bad. And then the next year, my second year, I made first team.
Yeah.
All WNBA. I averaged over.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. You was killing.
I had to see it.
That was most
and
improved,
I liked y'all jerseys too. You was killing them jerseys.
I love
jerseys.
I still bring it out sometimes,
Killing it.
That was the most improved year, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. I got most improved and first team the same year. And I remember because, as when you highly tout or whatever, you come in it's certain weirdos that can't wait for you to mess it up. You know what I'm saying?
They root like, they against you. They root for
against you, and it's just like, damn, why?
Right.
But I had to earn it, so I'm not mad about it now because I'm still trying to earn it. I'm still trying to win a championship.
Yeah.
And 4 All-Stars later, you know what I'm saying? It's still ways that I want to get better, have more team success, play in the playoffs. And so that's what I'm looking forward to now, because now I'm playing with 2 of the best players that I think have ever played our game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that 3-head monster over there now is going to be crazy. But before we get to that, I wanted to talk about another duo that you had that I thought was finna form into something great, you and Liz. Like when you and Liz was playing together, like the chemistry, it was like you on the outside killing them and you throwing it down low to her and she was killing them. I definitely like y'all chemistry, but how was that for you to have another player, the caliber of her, to play with and y'all kind of mesh together?
Man, she was the most dominant player like I ever played with.
Yeah.
Ever. I mean, she could do everything. You know what I'm saying? She could face up. She could shoot it from the mid-range. She had post moves. She could shoot the 3. And it's just like, where, and just footwork, just unassuming footwork, just skilled, very skilled, just elite level skill. So it was cool. We so much alike, we like Leos. So, the teammates that you so much alike, you just like, bop, bop, bop. But, I love Liz. I love playing with her because she wanted to win. She wants to win and she wants it. And she is competitive. And anybody that's like that, I'm down with them. But sometimes, I would you get caught up, when you play with dominant big men, sometimes because she could be back to the basket still and you just watch her. It's like, man, you just get caught kind of watching basketball. But yeah, definitely. I think if we would have had a few more years together, we never really got to have, a streak of us playing together. It was like when I first came in the league, and then it was like 5 years after that or something like that. So we never really got to have that much time with her being in Australia to work out together. And so I think had we, had a few more years together, we could have did some damage.
Yeah, I definitely think so. When I got a glimpse of that and just seeing how well y'all just went inside and outside, I thought that was definitely a dope combination for you. And I felt like you said, it was the most dominant player you to play against. Watching your career, it was like, yeah, that's the best player she to play with. And it showed, and y'all showed together instantly when it got going.
It was easy because if she was dominating, they would have to double her. And then, so I wouldn't get to see as many doubles and blitzes, and I had a little more freedom. But I think it'll be the same with Brittney. I think Brittney Griner is
most
the same way about Brittney Griner.
Most definitely.
I feel the same way. I think she's one of the most dominant women we ever had. Just able to do everything. She can play defense, she's quick on her feet. She could switch the screens, she'll run the floor. She could dunk the basketball in the game, at will. And that's different when you're talking about somebody finishing like that, and then obviously Diana. I have Diana on the floor. I get to be on the floor with her too. So our schemes are, we put bodies and bodies on her. It's just like she's so well respected. You got to guard her once. It's the Steph Curry rules. You got to guard them once they cross that court.
Yeah, you got to show the GOAT respect. You got to give it to it. You got to throw them on.
So it's gonna be. This is it's gonna be great for me because it's so much talent. That I get to be around, but also they won championships before too. So it's like it's humbling for me. Getting traded, you think you're gonna be on one team and get traded, and then it's like, okay, well then now I'm ready to, it's like you get popped in the mouth a little bit, you know.
You were the first female athlete to sign with Roc Nation, and you were the first athlete, period, to sign with Puma since Vince way back in the day. How did both of those relationships come along?
Yeah, Roc Nation, my senior year, was looking for management, and I didn't have management at the draft. Like I wasn't signed to anybody when I got drafted.
So you had no agent?
I had no agent. I was still kind of shopping around, at the time for an agent, but I didn't have an agent. And so
how did you navigate that process without an agent?
You know, I would just I talk to the coaches like directly. You know, I kind of did a lot of
I want to hear this. Like,
you know, like a momager. You know,
I handle my own shit. I never did handle my own shit.
Like I had to be grown, but no, it wasn't that much longer. You know, after, and I was able to. Somebody was like, "Okay, Jay about to call you," and I'm like, "Jay who?"
Right.
And they like, "Jay-Z, he about to call you right now," and I was like, "Okay." At this time, Roc Nation, you have to understand, Roc Nation had one person. It was Robinson Cano. That was it.
Okay.
Right.
So
okay.
People didn't really hear Roc Nation Sports, RNS. That wasn't all that paper plane hats and stuff. That was coming out. That was getting
right.
You know, it wasn't Roc Nation Sports. None of that. And so he called and kind of told me his vision, which is exactly what it's turning into. For Roc Nation and sports, and how he wanted me to be a part of that. And, you know, these other agencies were like rotary phones. I remember, you know, and Jay get on, you know, he's so smooth, you know, hey, yo, Sky, what up? You know, like, and so, you know, I had to get my swag together because I'm like, damn, he sounds just like he did in albums. I'm like, let me get my life. But it was so cool, you know, just being able to chop it up. We talked for probably like 15 minutes, you know, it was something that we talked, and that was my first time, you know, talking and getting to hear his vision. And so the next steps were kind of flying out to New York and, you know, meeting a team and continuing those talks. So my parents and I, we went out there to New York and got to see it. And I signed right away. Like I signed right away. It was no doubt, you know what I'm saying, just the extraordinary, you know, starting at the top with him, his business mind, his vision, like he gets it, you know, he just gets it. You know, just kind of got to see my vision for what I wanted to do with my career, and not just like a basketball player, you know what I'm saying, but different things that I was interested in, be it like fashion or different things, and, you know, music or pop culture that I wanted to be around. And so I went there, I signed, and then I was the only female up until probably like 6 months ago or less than that. But what it is now, you know, it was just one, and then it was Robinson Cano, then CC Sabathia, and then it was Geno Smith,
Shout out
and then
CC.
KD. And then KD signed. And then it was 5 of us. And then now it's probably like 400 and something, you know, people. It's crazy how big it's grown into in those like 7 years. But it was definitely cool being, you know, they used to call me the princess, you know, when I would see OG Juan and stuff, you know, it'd be like the princess.
OG Juan.
And Des, you know, OG Juan and Des, you know, it'd be like, I was a princess. So that was kind of like my little nickname. But it's cool, you know, what they do is amazing. You know, like I said, they get it. They get it. It's great management. It don't even feel like, you know, work. It feel like family. And I think that's how it should feel like. And so I love it. And then with Puma, it was kind of like another idea that like Jay had really. And it just was timing, I guess, because my contract was up with Nike. And so we were trying to figure out, you know, which way we were going to go with that. And I had been with Nike for 4 years before that. And we were just trying to figure out the next steps. And Puma didn't have anything basketball. So when, you know, they was talking to me about Puma, I'm like, wait, they don't have
right.
What the shoe looked like? It wasn't a shoe. It wasn't anything. It's just ideas. And so that was like a real leap of faith, you know, for me with that, because I didn't know, you know, obviously the direction Puma was going in. Currently, it didn't have anything to do with basketball.
Right.
But it was cool. They kind of showed me some ideas. I got to fly out to Boston, you know, had a few meetings and you know, talking to my agents and with Roc Nation, and just telling me the vision of, we're about to get back into this basketball sector and we about to try to do it big. You know, we have this plan. Do you want to be, you know, down for it? And I said, yeah. And so I was the only one for a while, you know, and they were kind of telling me, you know, we're going to do this and that. And so far, you know, so good. So far, so good. I love my relationship with Puma. You know, they've been, it's good to be different too. You know, I liked it because it was different. You know, it wasn't the same old, everything. It was like, okay, I'm gonna go in this lane and I'm gonna get my own and I'm gonna decide what's cool and I'm gonna bring what's cool, you know. And so we kind of made it cool.
Did your D Wade, way of Wade thing.
Yeah. And so it's obviously still is developing, and you know, obviously in the basketball sector, you know, they're really just starting to gain momentum and traction, and you really just starting to see and hear them. So I think it definitely has grown a lot, and I think we still have a telescope vision for what it could be.
Yeah.
So I think it's awesome. It's cool, and I don't really know I don't win an award for like being one of the first ones, but I think it's dope, especially being a female and you know, just representing that in that aspect.
No, it's not an award, but it's definitely history in the making, and like the younger girls need to hear that. It was like I think we had Shamika Holesclaw on, and we talked about her slam cover.
Yeah.
Like the girls need to hear this. This was one of my favorite colors, and it's a woman on the front cover with a Knicks jersey on. And I thought it was one of the hardest covers ever made. You know what I'm saying? And like girls need to see that, to be different sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
What are your thoughts and feelings on the WNBA CBA? And do you feel like you had any impact on it?
Well, I think it's great progress. I think the CBA is great progress. I know that we have great leadership in the WNBA, who, starting with our president, Nneka Ogwumike, like I say, who's a good friend of mine, having her leadership at the top, being able to sit at the table, being able to have these conversations, these tough conversations, and being able to fight for the opinions of 144 women who have a slice of the pie and have a seat at the table. And so it's not all the time in the WNBA, you kind of got to prioritize, you know, what you want, because you're not going to get everything.
Mm-hmm.
So to me as a mother, the most important thing could be my child, you know, making sure me as a mother, you understand what comes with that and wearing that hat, and making sure that I have all the resources there that I need, you know, for my child and myself and my family. Whereas if you're not a mom, your main priority might be this, and that, or depending on what market you're in, your experience may be different than my experience. Does that make sense? So we may want, you know, our experiences may be different, but we know that we would like to get to the point where we're, you know, we want more teams, you know, where we're chartering, where we get more marketing dollars and resources to be successful. You know, it's like the chicken and the egg. You know, we need resources to be successful. We need those TV deals and to be shown. We need to have exposure, more exposure, for our league to continue to grow. And so, you know, I thought the CBA definitely showed progress. And I know I was very, very vocal about my experience last year, and being a first-time mom, and, you know, not having a place to pump, not having a place to store, you know, not going into too many details, but that is what it is. I'm a mom.
I have a wife with 4
exactly.
kids, so
you know
I absolutely
and as a hooper, you know, I'm not putting my breast milk in there with the Gatorade. I'm just not doing it. And so, you know, I think just it's education, and, you know, really, I'm not the only mom in the league. We had other moms who spoke up and said a lot of great things, and then everybody contributed. We had over 90% who voted on the CBA, so almost everybody participated. And so I definitely think, you know, when it comes to some changes on motherhood, you know, like I said, Nneka is a close friend of mine, but her being the president, I was able to go to her and, you know, just talk to her about my experience. And like I said, other moms and other women spoke up, and there's a lot of great things in the CBA now. Even family planning has been added to the CBA if you want to plan for your family in the future. And so it's great to see. It's a great progress. I think what I hope is that it gives women in every corporation, in every sector, and to have the audacity to say what they need and to use their voice and speak out, you know, throughout any type of market. You know, as a woman, as a mom, I need this, you know, I should be provided this, and to fight for those rights.
That's one of the biggest thing I love about this era, because like our era, you used to have to take shit to the grave with you. But this era, like people is like speaking up, saying their experiences, just telling their story, and people can relate to what's going on. So that's one of the biggest thing I just love about this era, that people actually are not afraid to just say something and give your opinion. And that's why we get change. It don't change overnight, but it's a good way to step forward.
What are your thoughts on the social climate right now with what's going on in here in America, or really around the world right now, with the with the situation with George Floyd and everything? What are your thoughts about everything?
Yeah, it's devastating. It's devastating, and especially to we just talking about experiences that I know somebody who's had a certain experience, a family member, myself, my husband, some encounter with the police where it may have went too far, or something that shouldn't have happened, it escalated, and it's too many of these stories. It happens too much. It's disproportionately affecting Black and brown people who are affected by police brutality. And you can't sit back as a human and pretend like it's nothing wrong. Even my white grandmother is like, this is boom boom, and it's not enough to be just sit back and be like, I'm not racist. You have to be intentionally anti-racist.
Yeah.
And everybody who is racist, who doesn't have that energy, who they need to be called out. And you see a lot of people being called out. And it's fine to have an opinion, but it's also fine for people to have opinion about your opinion. And
right.
So I think right now, my son is 15 months. I don't have to have that conversation with him right now. But my husband is 28. And every time he goes into a store, especially in this climate, I'm sending my husband into the store with a mask and gloves. And that scares me every time he leaves the house now. I'm uncomfortable with my husband driving at nighttime.
Right.
It's a different set of rules that we've always had to follow. And this grief process that we have to continue to endure over and over again. And finally, it seems like, people are starting to see it through another lens.
I feel like this time is different a little bit. It feels a little different.
And we talking about something that was caught on tape. You know what I'm saying? Why are we investigating something that was caught on tape? How am I supposed to explain that? And it's just, it's tough. It's tough conversations that we've always had to have, in our community, unfortunately. And now it's just being done on camera. And so hopefully, it needs to start with legislative change. We need to try to police reform. It's cool that people are marching. We need people to sign up and register to vote. And
Absolutely.
make sure that we got 60,000 people at a march. We need to have somebody out there with a clipboard registering people to vote.
Yes.
It's so important to make sure we have the elected officials in place who care about us in our communities and look like us. Honestly, we need more representation with that. We need it just makes me shake my head, like.
Yeah.
And especially as a mom, watching the video, hearing George Floyd call for his mother. To me, as a mom, when he said that, he summoned all the moms.
Yeah.
And so it makes me say that I need to be doing more. I need to be doing more, and I can do more, and I plan on doing more. So that's how it makes me feel. I'm like, this is whatever y'all want to do. That's how I feel. It's whatever everybody want to do. I'm down. But I think it's important to really look inside yourself and to say, okay, how can I really make a change? Am I actively trying to make a change, or am I just sitting in the house complaining about this shit?
Right.
So my energy is I'm trying to actively make a change and figure out ways that I could do that. So it's definitely inspired me a lot, but it's just unfortunate that it takes this, for us to try to fight for for some justice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because like you said, this is something we've been living forever, far before this, far before any of us. But like for me, it's an especially scary time. I have my stepson is 16 years old, right? So since he moved here with us since third grade. So about third grade, since he had gotten here, I can't say every week, but I asked him often. Like I asked him enough that when it happened to him, it wouldn't be like culture shock. I would ask him every so often, somebody call you an N-word yet? And like when I first asked him, he was like, why you asking me? I was like, because it's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? And my thing to him, because I was telling one of my best friends from college, he's a white guy, Jerry Fitzgerald, Fitzy. So I'm telling him the story, and he's like, you gotta explain that to me. Why? I'm like, imagine, you know what I'm saying? Like, that some person, because whoever the kid is, it's some kid stuff, but the intent is malicious. Whoever's gonna do it, he's trying to hurt your feelings, make you feel bad, or do something to not make you feel good, right? So imagine that this is the first time, whoever this kid is, that's the first time he's hearing that. And he gives that kid that satisfaction of being shocked or crying or reacting whatever way, giving him that pleasure. I got you. I said, nah, not my steps, not my guy. It's not gonna happen. You're gonna be ready when it happened. And sure enough, it happened. It didn't happen when we were here in Florida. I was in Michigan working for the Pistons, and it happened. And he was ready, and it didn't faze him. And it was like, it still was a moment, but we dealt with it. But it was like I was happy and proud that you didn't give it to him. You didn't give him what he wanted. He didn't see that he didn't get the satisfaction that he hurt you, that he startled you, that he did something that really hurt you. You was like, so okay, like whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the joke. Insane. Like
I can't imagine. I can't imagine that. And you have to literally teach him how to be so his behavior doesn't get weaponized or villainized, So
we don't know the scenario. If he turn around and he get upset and he fire on him and punch him or something, now the teacher's gonna say he hit him first, take him to the principal's office, all this stuff. He gonna be in trouble.
Say he didn't say that.
Yeah, and then that's what he's gonna turn to. He said, "That's cool. You ain't gotta say nothing. Just you ain't fazed by it, but you know what it is now."
Yeah,
it's crazy the stories that even Breonna Taylor. It's like her story may be a little more. It seems a little bit more disconnected from like the mainstream movement right now. But she was just 27. She would have been 27. I'm 29. So just to think about me in the house, with my family, and to just be killed, for no reason, and to still not have these officers arrested, it's just like if they were any other person off the street, y'all would have been arrested the same night.
Wouldn't have the bond either. Wouldn't even gave them a bond.
Nah, we'd have had them on TV with the SWAT team running now with the helicopters, embarrassing cameras, everything.
And you don't even have to announce like you're the police. It's just, it makes me so mad. It makes me so mad. And if I'm scared to, when I do have to have these conversations, with my son, what are we going to say? He watched the news right now. Even then I'd be like, no, baby, if they try, they'll show the video or something. And I'm like, no, I try to just shelter and protect him. And it's just so symbolic. It's so symbolic. But something has to be done, and we need to continue to fight. It's not good enough we need convictions.
Yeah,
not good enough for people to just be we need convictions, not just arresting.
Yeah, we need change. We definitely need change. The whole system change, like rewriting everything. Like, cause it's crazy out here. When you came up, who was the female or the woman that you patterned your game after? The one that you looked at and was like, man, I want to be like that or have game like that.
Honestly, when I was coming up, it was 3 people I was looking at like that. One was Coop, right? Like Coop.
Yeah.
No.
Her game, H-Town, Coop. Her game was so nasty. I just like the way she just was crafty with the ball. She could just get a bucket, and she always got and-ones. Like, she was just real crafty with the ball. I just loved, and I loved her energy, how she kind of had, some charisma with the crowd and with the fans and stuff, could interact and just really, take over the game.
She fed off that.
She fed off of that. Another player that I really watched was Dawn. Dawn Staley. And that was like the whole, really Dawn got me to where Dawn was the first like Black woman in Team USA, that 96 team, that I got to see that looked like me. I'm like, oh wow, that was my first time seeing
That's
like,
me,
That's
me.
It's like it was a Lisa Leslie, Rebecca Lobo, Dawn, and Cheryl Swoops.
Yeah.
And those was the ones that came on. I was like, wow. I was like, mommy, look, it's like I can play. It was just, and then after that, the We Got Next campaign started, and then the WNBA started, and then I was able to kind of see him play. But definitely Coop, Dawn, and then I watched Cappy a lot.
Cappy, that's my girl right there. Cappy, I love Cappy.
I watched Cappy a lot. She was just oh my goodness. She, like, you already know. It's no Chicago, you know, her swag, her game. She wasn't afraid of nothing.
Smooth game, smooth.
She played against. When you talk about playing against guys, I mean, it's just.
We played against her before.
She didn't. She don't miss a beat. But she was just such a bucket. I was just like, man, Cappy Pondex. It didn't matter. She was so shifty. And then I couldn't leave without saying Deanna Nolan too, because a lot of people
Deanna Nolan used to get buckets in Detroit.
But I don't know why.
Detroit with the headband, she used to get buckets.
You see the Midwest team that I got, the Midwest game, but like Deanna Nolan in Detroit. I mean, that was the best team.
That was a bucket.
Man, and it's just
the female bad boys.
She shot her and Kara Braxton and Lynette Pearson and Cheryl Ford and Katie Smith, like that Detroit team, she shot. I mean, she jumped up in the air and shot a true jump shot, you know. But Tweety Nolan for sure. Those women right there. Tweety, Dawn, Coop, and Cappy. I wouldn't say my game might not be similar to theirs, but those are the ones I was looking at. Like
you were looking at taking from.
Mm-hmm.
When I watch you play, like you get in your mode when you really groove and them eyebrows get to going down, you got the mean face on. Like who installed that in you? Because you know, like with females or women, you know, in the game, you know, they want you to don't be as tough or don't show too much toughness or roughness or try to look mean.
Mm-hmm.
But who installed that in you? Like, nah, you supposed to make that mug and bust whoever ass you playing against.
Yeah, I mean, I was, like I said, maybe my mom had like the small short woman complex. But, you know, I've always had attitude, you know, and attitude, but I always had attitude. I always had it. And I want to win. I'm a very competitive like kid. If I hate to lose, you know, or I love to win though, more than I hate to lose, but when we playing cards, I'm gonna be serious. If we playing Monopoly, I'm trying to win. It's like if we bowling, Q Rich, I'm looking at your score like, oh, what Q Rich got? Okay. Like I'm you know, secretly, even if you don't know, in my mind, we competing.
Yeah.
You know, my father was always real competitive with me. He was always real rough with me, and I just think I was naturally a tomboy. You know, I just preferred the, you know, quote, dirt over dolls. You know, I was just always like a tomboy. I was more interested, you know, at that time. Like I said, it wasn't a lot of females hooping like that in my area. We had to play against guys. And so that's just kind of how it was. I probably developed some toughness just because of that, and having to play against, you know, people that were older than me, play against guys. I just had to develop kind of a tough demeanor too, because people would think I was soft.
Yeah.
And so I just had to kind of, you know, develop that shell as far as, okay, you ain't gonna punk me, you know what I'm saying? Or you know, I'm about to you know, like that energy.
You can't play on the level that we play on, being soft or having them type of weaknesses like that. And you don't got to be the toughest, but you just can't be the completely softest and the scariest. And I tell people that all the time. It's not like an arrogant thing, but you just got to have that type of arrogance, toughness with you to play this game, especially to play on the highest level that, you know, you actually play on.
That gets you the most respect too. I feel like people respect the ones that, like, you know, go hard, and the ones that don't back down. Like, you gonna get popped in the mouth. Everybody gonna have a day, they moment. You gonna get torched one night. You gonna do the torching. But like, you know, you gotta be tough, because y'all know in the league, like, you play the next day.
Yeah.
You play the next you play back to back.
Yeah,
you play
a couple of days. You can redeem yourself quick.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well then check up then. Back to back, or I see you again. But it's you got to have a mentally tough demeanor too, because you are gonna take some hits. You got to just take your lumps and be able to stand up.
Well, I can't speak for the younger generation, because this younger generation with everything, social media and stuff, after they get dunked across, they see that shit for like a whole year. And I don't know, some of the dunk-ons and crossovers I got in the league, I couldn't be able, I don't know if I could be able to take it a whole year or seeing it on social media.
That's symbolic of them. Like, they so solid and cool, they'll laugh it off after, like, somebody would have, our generation, you would have came out of game, somebody at you getting dunked on, you about to be
like,
who wrote this? Like, let me, if a reporter, like, whatever, like, Ball is Life, like, hold on, who controlled the Ball is Life handle? Like, you ain't just gonna have me out here like that, like, people.
Yeah, but I think it is what it is, because it's in our game too. So if you get hit with a move now, and it is what it is, they gonna show it, they gonna post it. It's like, good move, girl. I play this game. I'm gonna have my fair share of them too. But I give credit where credit is due. But I'm not about to be that embarrassed off of one play straight up.
Start, bitch, cut. Diana Taurasi, Cynthia Cooper.
Wow.
Diana Taurasi, Cynthia Cooper, and Cheryl Swoops. Yeah, the start, bench, cut.
Yeah. Oh man, you gonna have me on Women's
all goats.
WNBA site, sports. Okay, start, bench, cut. I feel like it's disrespectful to cut like Cooper Swoops.
Oh, okay.
But like, Diana is like my teammate. Currently. I need to use a lifeline. I'm gonna start Coop. I gotta bench Swoops. I guess I gotta bench Swoops and cut D if we talking about like, just the OG status of it. But man, you literally picked probably 3 of the 4 of the Mount Rushmores for real.
Tell me how you feel about Coach Muffet retiring. It's the end of an era. Like, tell me what she's meant to you, the university, and so many other girls that she's coached, and now with Ivy stepping in, and how that's going to impact the university. Tell me what Muffet meant to the university.
Yeah, I mean, Coach McGirl a lot. I mean, she coached there for a long time. I mean, it's, forever.
I was looking at it when she announced and was looking at all the act. I was like, this is why I didn't even know all of that.
It's almost weird to not see her affiliated, with especially me growing up in South Bend. Like, that's all you heard. She's celebrity. She's like the mayor, in South Bend. Just everything she's done for the community, and she continues to do work in the community. But she gets it. She gets it. She is a coach, a player's coach. How you have players coaches who just care about the connection that they have with you outside of the lines. They care about what you're going through. Me as a student athlete, growing up into a woman trying to just navigate, Notre Dame and college, and, balance all that newfound attention and, just everything going on. She was always a voice of calm, and you could tell that she was such a pro. She had been there before. I don't think by the time I got there, I don't think I could have surprised her with anything or any situation. She had pretty much seen it all. But I was just blessed to have somebody like her who she wasn't afraid to take you outside of your comfort zone, and she really challenged you, to try to see how high your elevator could go. She really didn't let you or allow you to, if we playing 5-on-5 in practice, my team could be winning. I could be up by 6 points. Last 2 minutes, she'll switch me, go to the other team. Like she just, she had just constantly wanted to challenge me and put me outside my comfort zone, to even challenge me as a woman, as a student athlete. always there and available as a resource, and definitely an example of a strong woman. You know, she was definitely an example of being a white ally. You know, she always spoke up and spoke out, and was definitely a trailblazer, just speaking on women's rights, and you know, just everything that she stood for. It was a reason why I wanted to go and learn under her. You know, and so she definitely is like, she was like a second mom to me, you know, a mom away from home, her and Neil both. And so I was just blessed to be able to have a resource like that to be able to go to and learn from. And she still, we're tight to this day. We text, you know, check in on each other all the time. But yeah, I love Coach McGraw. She's definitely a legend in South Bend and women's basketball and just in basketball in general. And then as far as Neil goes, you know, me and Neil are tight. Like, that's my girl. And I'm so proud of everything that she's done and has accomplished. And to be able to have somebody like that where you can call a friend and just to see him flourishing, you know, it's just so dope to see, you know, where she's come from, her background, you know, coming from St. Louis and just being able to go to like Notre Dame. And then now she's the face of Notre Dame.
Right. Yeah, that's huge.
It's just insane. It's insane, but it's great. Like I said, you can't be what you can't see. So it's dope to have representation, you know, like Neil, being a head coach at the University of Notre Dame, being an assistant coach on the bench in the NBA, you know, to see, and it's all for a reason, you know. And so I definitely think that she was the only person that probably could have taken the reins, you know, after Coach McGraw. But like I said, she undefeated in her scouts. She's a great scouter. She's a great recruiter. She's very charismatic. You know, she can connect with the players. She has a son, Jaden, who's 18, you know, so she's very connected to that age of you know, she can relate.
She an old lady now. She an old lady now. She put her ears in.
her son is that age, you know, of a lot of young ladies that she's talking to. So she knows her stuff, man. So if I ever got into coaching, you know, I would want to coach under her.
Yeah.
For sure, and learn under her or somebody like her, Coach McGraw, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely coming from the crib. You know, we very proud of her for doing that.
And she the best dressed.
She used to be killing them on the bench.
Best dressed.
What did you think about Kobe embracing the women's game as much as he was embracing it before he passed?
Ever since that I've known, like, Kobe, like I've met him or haven't met, I've heard that he was very supportive of women's basketball. It's just basketball, y'all. You know, it's just basketball. He loved basketball. He loved the game. But like I said, it's so important to have those voices. Somebody who's one of the most influential sports figures of all time, you know, just saying and showing support, not just talking the talk, but walking the talk and going to the games, you know, showing support to players, reaching out. You know, I got a chance to work with Kobe. I always keep like my Kobe book right here too. Like, you know, I bet he signed this for me. So I like always I cherish this book. But Kobe,
frame that junk.
So Kobe, I had a chance to work with him like in Body Armor because he was with Body Armor, so was I. So I had a chance to work with him, and through Nike basketball too, when I was my time with Nike. So I was able to spend a little bit of time around him. And not only was he just like, cause you know, I feel like some players, no shade, but sometimes they don't come off as genuine. It's kind of like, I'm gonna send this tweet real quick so I can it's a gesture, it's an optic, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't really watch it or support it or know anything about it, but it's just like, I want people to think that I think it's cool. So sometimes
Nah, real talk.
You know, but it is, you know, Kobe was actually, you know, he knew the players, he knew the teams. He knew the series went to 5 games.
Yeah.
He knew she had 10 points in the fourth quarter. Like, he would know details. Like, oh, he really watches the game. He watches basketball. He watches our game. And, you know, he has respect for our game. And so it's like I said, it's just great. It's not like you actively search for any validation, but when you have somebody like that and that caliber, the greatest of all time, you know, just want to support and give back to the game. And, you know, obviously him being a girl dad, you know, he just really showed a lot of support to a lot of individuals, teams, and just women's basketball in general. And so, you know, we definitely appreciated that and everything that he stood for.
No, I definitely thought it was dope because, somebody of Kobe statue, I think the media made it more of a big deal, but, real ballers, real hoop, it was like, man, that's just dope how you just supporting the game. But somebody of his stature to be at them games and show support. And I think us as NBA players, former NBA players or current NBA players, we need to go to more games. We need to help out with that. And we need, if you see a Kevin Durant or a LeBron sitting courtside or something, it's like, I want to go even more. But if you really pay attention to the game, if you really pay attention to the game, because the game is great. I don't understand if you like men's basketball, how can you not like women's basketball? It's like it's just exciting.
One sport. It's just basketball.
Yeah, you don't see a dunk. Well, you do see dunks. Yeah, I can't say that no more. But you see everything. You see everything else on a consistent basis. You know what I'm saying? And you see a little bit more D. The women play a little bit more D than the men.
Play more D. Y'all don't play no D. Y'all game is a little longer than ours too. So you'll see more people talk about scoring and things like that. Y'all play a little longer than we do. If we had that 8 minutes, we would probably be up.
The extra 8.
Oh, the extra 8. Yeah, the extra 8 is something though. But, no, you hear it. I mean, it's just basketball. It's basketball. And if you haven't watched it, if you just basing it off of no shade, maybe your local girls in the community that you feel like you busting up at, or you feeling good at
local middle school or something.
You feeling good at 24-hour fitness, getting buckets, just don't be disrespectful to all the work and the time, that we put into this game and the blood, sweat, and tears we put into this game to make it at this level. And I guarantee you, our practice guys we practice team is all guys.
Yeah.
Play against
I used to practice with the girl.
overseas and play in the league, and those are the caliber players we practice against. And I just think it's just ignorance, and people that usually disparage women in sports
Yeah.
Well, I just want to make sure that I let you know before we let you get up out of here. So I ain't never watched Notre Dame's women basketball till you got there. My goddaughter, Deja Henry, you her favorite player. She even got a picture with you when y'all came and played the Sky in Chicago. She was at the game and got a picture with you. But we definitely, we have everybody on here, man. We like to let them know that we noticed that what you did was huge. For real, I had never paid no attention to Notre Dame women's basketball, period. But when you got there, it became a deal, and they didn't obviously went on to do some great things and had players after that. But for me, in my mind, it started right there with Skylar Diggins. So I want to give you that credit and them flowers while you here with us.
Hey, I appreciate it. We could go back and forth with that because y'all already know what I think about y'all and for the culture and everything that y'all done. But it's cool. It's dope, and it means something to me because I'm from South Bend, so maybe that's why it turned out like that, because it was genuine. It was from the heart and everything. I really had a passion to want people to have some stories like what you just said. I didn't really know about this, but I know Notre Dame now. Girls didn't want to commit to Notre Dame at that time. They want to come there now. And so it's awesome just to see the success that it's had, and I want to see it flourish. I don't care who's more successful. It's like records and things are meant to be broken.
Definitely.
And I want to see it flourish. I already got mine hanging up. I'm already immortal in there. I already got my band in there. I want y'all to keep adding them. So I definitely appreciate y'all. Like I said, I appreciate y'all platform. This is like one of my favorite podcasts to watch. So I'm happy we were able to make it happen.
Oh, appreciate
Absolutely. We appreciate it.